The suspect that you just saw, her name is Marisa Monica Cano. This case started out last night when SAPD officers responded to Bulverde Road and TPC Parkway at a fast food restaurant for a report of a young man about 15 years of age suffering from some pretty substantial injuries. It was determined that not only did he suffer some pretty substantial injuries, the young man was severely underweight. In fact, as for a 15-year-old boy, he's only about 70 pounds. He only weighed about 70 pounds. So the young man started telling us stories about how this suspect that you see here was abusing the young man, the 15-year-old young man, another 17-year-old young man, as well as an 8-year-old little girl. All three of the children are related, but they are not related to this suspect that you saw today. They're just frequently in the care of this suspect. The young kids described to us being beaten with a baseball bat at times, being beaten with bare hands, with fists at times, being starved many times, and then locked in a garage quite frequently. Very tragic case.
Is there any indication as to how long this abuse had been going on?
No, we're looking at quite some time. I mean, the injuries, as is pretty common in cases like this, the injuries are in various stages of healing. Some of the injuries on this young man's lower extremities are in advanced stages of infection. And I mean, it's heartbreaking to see a young man that's so emaciated to the point where he's basically skin and bones. I mean, at that age, that young man should be in his physical prime almost. Instead, he weighs 70 pounds.
Now, neighbors tell us that you guys were out there last night and then today. Can you tell us about why you had to come back?
Well, we were out last night. They worked the case as far as they could last night, and then this morning we got received further information on where the suspect was, so they were able to get back out there and get her picked up, as well as picking up the 8-year-old little girl that we weren't able to find last night. And additionally, we removed 2 other children from the house that, thankfully, those children don't show any signs of abuse. They are related to the suspect. At any rate, all 5 of the children now have been removed from that home. They're now in CPS custody.
I apologize, I'm just getting here late. Were these foster kids? Were these their kids?
These were the 3 kids, the 15-year-old, the 17-year-old, and the 8-year-old are all siblings. They are not related to the suspect. They are just frequently in the care of the suspect. Their parent lives elsewhere and leaves them in the care of this suspect, as far as we can tell. But again, the nature of the abuse was really heart-wrenching to see. It's pretty substantial. What I can say is that it was heartbreaking to hear from the kids' side of things. They mentioned that this abuse took place, and in their estimation, it wasn't necessarily abuse. They mentioned that this activity took place whenever they did something bad or broke something in the house, almost indicating that this was a normal way of life for these kids. And you and I both know that it's not. Thankfully, CPS has been working with us, and we got not only these 3 kids, but 2 others removed from that situation.
Those other 2 children that were in the house, those were her children?
Those are the suspect's children. They've been removed as well. Thankfully, they don't look like they suffered any abuse, any physical abuse. We're still going to be, in an abundance of caution, we're still going to be interviewing those children at length to see what other information we may yield on any possible abuse toward them or anything they may yield toward the other 3 children.